right there just don't even care.
Save yourself now.
Oh no, I tried to cut back. I'm not pushing buttons already. So, but
Typical gun fashion.
that's it.
Technical difficulties. Straight out the gate.
Hope everybody's had a good Sunday.
Good week. It was Thanksgiving week.
That's it. I know I got my belly showing up full.
Hope y'all had a good one.
That's it. Sit down with family, friends, love one another, fellowship, that kind of thing. We did. That's for sure. Like I said, ate good too. I wish I still had me a little bit of sweet potato pie left. Talking to a friend of ours that's deputy sheriff. He texted us Thanksgiving night, asked how we was doing and all this good stuff, and told us, man, brother, I said, I wish I'd have brought home a good old slab, a little bit more of a slab of sweet potato pie. But like I say, hope everybody had a good one. Who we got in here so far? Rummage through the list.
I was trying to say hey to those in the chat.
Let's see here. DC jumped right on in and got first this evening for sure.
He's doing good.
And Darren, Pennsylvania Beekeeper, Russell Amon, Stone on the River, Ed, Keith, Half Tracks, Michael Tangway, Stuffy, Randy, Miss Deb, the Sun Bunny, our Texican friend out there on Phillip. Yeah, let's see who else. Lord, if I missed y'all. There we go, Mr. Mark Miller. Everybody.
Lots of people.
Joseph. Hallelujah be for. I'm glad to see your name coming here. If y'all would, I'll get Hannah to jot the email in here. Shoot us an email, please. I'd like to talk to y'all. If you get a chance, we'd love to talk to y'all. But like I say, we're coming off Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's Mr. Dan.
Mr. Dan Wiggins.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody kind of trickling on in.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let everybody kind of mosey on in a little bit more for I get too wound up.
Hey, Jeff.
Jasper.
Oh.
It's kind of, in a way, it's kind of hard to, I guess, not think people are right where you are because we talk all the time and all this. But if you're an Alabama fan or if you're an Auburn fan, it's coming.
It's like,
oh boy, what a game! This is just part of life for us, the Iron Bowl, Alabama and Auburn. But man, you talk about a game, but it's a house divided with us. I'm Alabama, Crimson Tide. She's Auburn, War Eagle over there. But buddy, we had some emotions going last night.
Yeah, that's an understatement. It got heated.
It went from that ain't right to the blame game to all kind of stuff. I was accusing her team of
everything under the sun. Hey, y'all, he got that. He just run out of crap to say. So he literally accused Auburn Tigers. I don't know if he was accusing the team or the fans at that point, but accused somebody of just going to the beach to crush sea turtle eggs.
Well,
I was like, really? That's what we're down to here? This was football.
Well, if y'all didn't see it, there was something that happened in the beginning of the game, and it was Alabama done it, and she kept telling me, "No, they should have called it. They should have called it." And I'm agreeing the whole time. I'm like, "Yes, they should have called it." But this went on for 4 quarters, and
Yeah.
so
Hey, you
finally,
had stuff to scream about too.
I just accused her, Auburn
Especially
University,
turtle eggs.
for using endangered species birds as their mascots, and they probably go out and crush sea turtles
I
too.
forget about that one.
But anyway, that's the fun we've had this weekend, husband and wife. Uh, it was
It really
good.
is fun. It's not as bad as we make it sound, probably.
No. But y'all know you got your rival teams, any of y'all that watch the foosball. Uh,
It's
It's
good
just fun.
It's good fun.
But what I got on my list?
We do have beekeeping stuff.
Yeah,
So no,
yeah, we do.
it ain't just gonna be football.
Yeah. I ain't got much of beekeeping news because, like everybody, we're tied up all week trying to prepare for uh Thanksgiving and everything. But one thing that has stuck in my mind, and I imagine most of y'all let's see how many, 25, yeah. Most everybody in here watches old DC. And if you're not, y'all go sub to him, show him some love. The
Y'all
man,
need to go check him out if you don't already watch his videos.
he's doing his vlog, documenting every day. He's going out there and doing something, putting a little piece up, which his subscribers are going up. Congratulations, buddy. We'll say that. But I got to noticing on one of his last, I don't know, it may have been 3 or 4 by now, but one of the last videos he put out, he's got a beaten path. I'm assuming from his back door or wherever he comes out of the house down to his bees. And I come in and I showed Hannah that and got to talking to her, and I was cutting up for a second, then got serious on things. But I was telling her, I said, "Oh, DC, any of y'all lived out in the country and been around cattle, you know that them old cattle, they're going to follow pretty much just one path going through a field or something like that. They have one itty bitty little path, the big old cattle." So that's kind of what it reminded me of, DC, with that beaten path, the small, narrow path of going through there. And I mentioned something in the comments on it, and his response, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it led into a conversation, a small conversation, if you will, but the Lord. And it got me to thinking, I don't know why this small little bit, I guess it's the Lord working on me too in ways, but that little old path, what is the path we're taking? And you can take that however you want it to. If you're not a believer, then, analyze it as you will. But as a believer, is our path really the straight and narrow? And that just reminded me, for some reason, maybe there's a little bit more to it. I'm not sure, but the Lord will work that out. But me and DC kind of been back and forth on it a little bit. And I tell you, brother, it really had me thinking a lot of different ways of how was my path. Where the little mystery girl come in.
That's what I was trying to get.
Good to see you.
Out.
Uh,
It's really good to see you.
yeah, it is. But once again, what is our path? Where are we going? Not only walking down to the bees, but are we walking the path as we should? And I'm gonna tell you, just be honest, I'm not perfect, and there's places that I veer off of the path. But I thank the Lord pulls me back to that straight and narrow. But DC, I just want to say I've enjoyed that little bit of. It ain't been much conversation at all, but it's been enough to, you know, make you think a little bit. Uh, anyway, that's what I got on that. But no, I know some of y'all probably seen the little bees cleaning each other in the short. Went out there, and what I got that pollen sub in, y'all, was just old them plastic coffee cans you can get, and I took a 2.5 inch bit, drip, drilled a little hole out on it on the side. We fill it up with pollen sub, put the lid on it, and stick it on top of the open feeder out there. Well, the chickens have figured out there's a snack inside that bucket, but all we got to do is tear it down onto the ground, and we can enjoy ourselves. But that's where that come from. Well, yesterday we done it a little bit. I think, yeah, day or two ago.
Okay. I don't remember exactly what day it was.
But I went out there and I picked that thing up, and I got to looking in there, and there's bees just where I guess there was bees in it. Whenever chickens knocked it down, they was all covered in that pollen. So I probably pulled, I don't know, 10 or 15 of them little girls out of there. And those two that I had on my hand, I'm like, well, everybody's acting pretty sweet right now. I'll carry them up here to my woman, let her check it out. Well, we watched them for a few minutes before we picked the phone up to record everything, but they pretty much done the same. They cleaned themselves off a little bit, then go back over there to each other, and it was awesome. I wish we could have got this, but how they was cleaning off each other's eyes and antennae. They just constantly.
Get it, but couldn't make it happen with the camera. I'm a terrible camera person.
Well, that part we wasn't quick enough.
Mm-mm.
Then we did get the phone and we started recording, and lo and behold, thankfully, we got those couple little shots of them cleaning each other up. But
You talk about made my day.
being able to take her with the bees a little bit,
That
not worry. Yeah.
almost as good as hope. It was really, really close.
And they wasn't any kind of fuss or anything. They just sat there, and it was cloudy, been drizzling rain all day. Give it a couple hours and y'all be cleared up. We just started clearing up about an hour ago over here.
Yeah.
So about 10 o'clock, y'all should be getting some clear skies. But anyway, that's what led into all that. And you want to tell them about your cooking? The honey roasted brown sugar roasted walnuts. Y'all, let me tell you what. I did that little community deal on the picture, and that don't do it justice. That stuff turned out pretty good. Yeah, I put a picture on there. But it didn't take you, what, maybe 10, 15 minutes to do the whole deal on that?
Maybe 20 minutes. Because I roasted them.
You wrote. So what else you do? You just.
I just dumped them all in a big bowl, and I just I put salt, brown sugar, cinnamon, and nutmeg, and tossed it all real good, and baked them for 10 minutes or so, 11 minutes maybe. But then when they come out, I dump them back in the bowl and poured a bunch of honey in it and tossed them up, and then laid them back out and let them cool off and dry.
Well, you talk about, yes, sir. Lamore said it right. That's a good little snack. Yeah, Philip.
They weren't as bad as I thought.
No, wait till they cool down. That's when they tasted best to us. After they cool, then they really had that, I don't know, caramel, however you want to say it, feel to it. But it was good. do it to taste. Shoot, you probably, well, you can do it with pecans, anything you want to, but that was the first time we had tried the walnuts. Somebody could give us, I don't know, a pound or two of them things that they got. And some good eating. If you want a little quick snack, sit around with the family.
Really?
But Danae was in here.
Yeah,
See,
say hi to her. Mike came in.
Tracy.
Kimberly was asking. Yeah, I said hey.
I'm sorry. What?
Is there? No, Kimberly was asking what was the temperature. Said she had a couple inches of snow today.
It's about
Near that cold. We're
about
in the
68.
60s today.
Yeah.
But it's down to like maybe mid 50s. It's been cloudy and drizzly rain and all that.
Well, we've had some.
Ooh, Ed, that
Pretty
sounds good. And infused honey that turned out smoky.
Mm,
So it's really good on pork.
you
I
might sell pretty
bet.
good to them folks that like to do the cooking.
Oh, she
Now,
said it's 30 degrees there.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, Lee. We still got your sister on our list. Her surgery's tomorrow.
Lee's sister.
Yeah.
Okay. All
So
right.
he's got to get up at 1 to drive for it.
Well,
Be careful on the road, man. I don't know how far you got to go.
we'll definitely keep you in the prayers. We'll get into the prayer
Yeah.
list here in just a minute, y'all.
Today, y'all can keep that much. Send me a picture of it. That's about as close as I want to get to 30 inches of snow.
Oh, don't want no snow. I was watching one of them
But
storm chasers. Well, I think it was Kansas got a bunch of snow yesterday.
Oh,
A
yeah.
whole bunch of folks out that way got snow. And I mean, some people, it may be their interest in the storm chasing, but the snow I couldn't do. It's just be one of them. I turn
love
around
it,
going
but it
home.
hurts.
It's pretty. Don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
but just don't want it all the time.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen Wyoming since I was a kid. I would love to see some pictures.
Well, little Mr. Girl, it's been a good day. Hannah come home and she fed me a good supper.
I tried.
Homemade mashed potatoes. I just had a hankering again for that deer meatloaf. So she prepared all that, got us some greens together and biscuits, and we had a good day. Thank you for asking.
DC, I've got your parents on here, but I'll make a note of that for sure. Says Mama fell,
Uh-uh.
got x-rays and she's okay, but really sore. I imagine she is.
Mm-hmm. Well, thankfully it wasn't nothing where they had to keep her and have, you know, worry about being at a hospital instead of being at home and being a little more comfortable at home.
Yeah.
Uh,
Either way, I mean, sometimes the bruises can hurt worse than a break can. That's hard.
you got your lip redone.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
I'm close.
Wild Yak is
I mean, I can read it.
Whatever you want to
do. Let me write in his mom real quick.
Okay. We did have a request this evening. It's kind of what brought it to one of tonight's topics. But Ed sent us a text message I got this morning wanting to know if we could do a little something on the wax moth. Now what I found is I'll leave it to the end, but there's no real way of saying how they got rid of them, but there's some pretty interesting points in the article that they put in here, which is pretty cool. This article came out on my birthday. Well, not my birthday because it was 18. When was this? 18.
7 or 6, 9.
February 3rd, 1889 is when it come out.
9.
Yeah.
9.
98. I'm sorry. 1898.
Maybe between both of us we'll get it right.
We'll get it going. Yeah. But it's a pretty long article. We'll run through that first and see what y'all's opinion is on things. Then ran up on 2 other parts, as far as bad queens, if you will, and a micronutrition, which this is kind of a little bit of a hint, especially if you've been with us for a little while. The video we put out on this is the most viewed video that we've ever had. And I think it was around 16,000 views on it. But a certain micronutrient and how these beekeepers used it in a way to prevent and stop something, as well as use it for a micronutrient and intake for the bees. And we will say, well, we've done this. I mean, I ain't no more laid it down at the entrance right there on the bottom board. And once they smelt it, they got on it and just, they took it as if they knew that's, hey, we need some of this and we need it bad. But it was interesting as well. So got us some pretty good topics. We'll open up the chat here in just a shortly and go through them. But tell you what, while she's doing that, let me rummage around here in these comments to see what y'all got going on for a minute.
Yeah, make sure I'm not missing anything.
Let's see. Kimberly says she don't care for no snow either. Yes, ma'am.
No, or
She said no, they did an X-ray and CT, everything is good, but she doesn't
bounce.
bounce
I was
well.
thinking I
anyway.
didn't bounce
Okay.
well at any age. So, oh, imagine she is.
Awesome. I'm not saying her bouncing well. I'm just saying be on DC. But
Yeah.
Minnesota Mike, how you been up that way, bruh? Did you have a procedure done not too long ago, or am I just thinking I seen something in the chat?
I
Mr. Girl, it may snow down here. You can talk to your daddy on this one, but the only time I really ever remember it doing a good snow down here, and it did an okay one a few years ago, but was in 1992. We had a snow that we was actually able to make snowmen and get out, and it didn't melt. It's, in 30 minutes kind of thing.
They said you could have that.
Yeah. She said, take it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She'd love it now. Where you at there? Good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're going to start with our prayer list, y'all. If there's anybody we need to add to, or if we need to take off, let us know as we go. And for the ones of you as well, keeping a list with us. What's she say? I remember having snow young. Oh, yeah. Yes, that was that one a few years ago. We got just a little bit. We were still on the fire department with that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Lee. Whoopi, surely appreciate you. You don't have to send us anything, but If there, I don't know if Mr. Donnie's watching or not, but if there's any honey in there for Mr. Donnie, you have made his week, month, year. That man loves some honey. Did you see Dan Weaver's comment? So please add Bobby Luca, 4-week-old who needs a heart transplant.
Oh, yeah.
We'll sure add that little fella to it.
Mhm.
4-week-old.
Mhm.
Mm, yes. Pray for parents too. Lord, I couldn't imagine worrying about, my brand new baby having to potentially go through something like this. Mm,
That'd be terrible. Hi, Mr. Ricky, Miss Ruth.
yes, good to see y'all. Appreciate y'all coming in too.
So, Mr. Girl.
You found her.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna let you lead Yuri in there.
I'm trying to write this.
Yeah, we got time. We just got started.
Okay. So we got Keith Larimore, Mr. Martin Miller, Hillbilly Earl, Ed, and his wife, Miss Chris. She's been on here, but he's started having back problems. What, last week, I think, or week before. James McNally, Dirt Rooster's dad, Mr. Pat, the Sun Bunny, Bob's friend Jason Cooper, Grammy Lisa. We got her granddaughter and her son on here. Bob Walker and his family. Tom, Mac Apiary Bees, Mr. Donnie, our friend, Tim Bailey, Michael Tangway's wife, Miss Sandy. Maybe he'll tell us how she is. She was
Yeah.
home and doing better last we heard from him.
Yes, if you would give us a report on that, Michael,
Yeah.
if you can.
And then Miss Carla Green, well, Larry Gandy, but Mr. Larry, his wife Sherry are both sick, so they're on here. But Mr. Larry's mom is also on here. She's been having a rough time lately. Brian with Castle Hives and his family. DC's parents, like I said, they were already on here, but now his mama has failed, so y'all say an extra prayer for her. James Knowles' family. Lee, I don't know. I hope he's feeling better. He was sick last time we had put him back on here. But Lee and his sister, and y'all especially remember her tomorrow having surgery. Donnie Fixner's wife, Miss LaFay, is on here. And then David Hoskins added his little baby granddaughter on here. She's still in the NICU. The Prince family, Flip with Honeystone Farms, put his daughter Samantha on here. And then the new additions were Mr. Dan put baby Luca on here. And Mystery Girl asked for prayer for her and her friends.
You're so good. There's that crazy Texican that come in here.
Uh-oh.
Blaine in here. Good to see you, bro.
Yeah,
Appreciate you coming
it's
in
been a
too.
minute since we saw you.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you're feeling better, Lee.
Good deal, bro.
Finally.
Like I
Y'all,
said,
if I missed anybody, please let me know.
there was somebody I was trying to think about the other day.
Oh, our troops. All our troops. I got
Yeah.
that one right at the top, and I looked over it.
Yes, Lord, because They dealing with a mess right now as well. All right, y'all. Let me get myself situated here.
There's Larimore.
All right, brother. Good to see you here.
Oh,
He commented on your honey roasted
yeah.
walnuts a while ago. And it was one of them country comments like, yes, sir. You know, give me a handful and a good snack bowl. Let's get it.
Mhm.
Uh,
Okay, Ed. I'll put a note by your name.
see, look, let me just go on and do this. That way we can go ahead and just get it posted. Y'all bear with me. I'm pushing buttons, so there ain't no telling where this is going to go.
Hmm. Okay, Michael Tangley said she's doing good. That's
Good deal.
good. I'm glad she's recovering.
Yeah, chill out.
You
All
need to look at the phone while you're pushing buttons.
Well, I'm waiting on it to process. See what? Oh, good grief.
Good.
It didn't freeze. It's just taking all day.
Be patient.
I'm being patient. There we go.
Okay.
We getting there, y'all. Pretty good. Chat. In there. Okay, we got it. Moving on now.
Okay.
I tell you what, well, I don't want to lose my place. My luck, I'll be all over the place. I found a little piece that kind of reminded me of, was Grayson popped in here? Or little Vincent?
I haven't seen that.
I found a little piece that kind of reminded me of them and their, especially Grayson's age, is what it was. But if they pop in, remind me now. I'll jump over and try to, either way, I'll try to read it for you, buddy. It's just a little video, small piece that made me think about the younger generation of beekeepers coming in and how, in a sense, we should be setting examples for these younger generations. But all right, Ed, we're gonna get into the what they were calling. When was this one here? Let me get back up here. February 3rd, 1898, and this is the volume 38, number 5 of the American Bee Journal. Okay. The bee moth or wax moth. Some experiences by, let's start us off good. Thrillman. Thalman. Okay. On page 723, 1897, Professor A.J. Cook has kindly answered the questions I have asked. There's a T at the end of ask. Him regarding the bee or the wax moth, for which we tender him thanks. Some of the ways he describes about the moth are not yet clear to me or do not agree with my experience in that order of beekeeping. He says we always find the moths lurking or flying about where there are combs, beehives with bees, empty hives or boxes with combs, etc. Some years ago, I stood before a big dry elm in my timber. What was I calling it? I'm sorry.
When he was reading it to me, he couldn't see the spaces. So he put dry elm in my timber all into one word. Dry in my
It was
something.
it was on.
I couldn't figure out what he was talking about.
I would try to show you, but if y'all look at these old bee journals, you'll see like the lettering isn't all the way.
It's like it was printed on paper with only half enough ink or something.
Yeah.
some of it really is hard to read in his defense, but it was hilarious. I'm trying to say that.
All right, let me back up. We always
Yeah.
find the moths lurking or flying about where there are combs, beehives with bees, empty hives or boxes with combs, etc. Some years ago, I stood before a dry elm in my timber whose bark was loose 1 inch or so. By accident, I pulled the bark from the tree about 8 inches, and to my surprise, I saw several bee moths running around on the inside of the bark, just as they do when disturbed elsewhere in their hiding places. This was nearly a mile from my apiary. Now I am tempted to ask the professor, how did the moths get there? Or where were they hatched out, and what did they live on? A beekeeper tells us in Acker and Gartenborough, what was that one? Gartenbau.
I gotta see it. I can't remember.
We went through this one too.
Yeah. Gartenbau Zeitung.
Gartenbau. Bowel. That he knows several bee trees in his vicinity which are stocked with bees nearly every year, but are always destroyed in 2 to 3 months by the bee moths. Some feller from Texas writes on the same page, I have found dozens of moths in the pupae state, mostly in winter time, in hollow trees, but nowhere except where a colony of wild bees were destroyed by the moths. This evidence was given in opposition to my theory, but they are not a strong argument on my side. But are they not a strong argument on my side of the question? These wild bees are surely not Italians. This is what drew my attention to it. These bees were surely not Italians, else not all of them would have been destroyed by the moth alone. But I would ask again, where did these moths come from? And on what did they live the other 7 or 8 months of the year? All right, I'm going to hold it right there because this is where I got thinking with her on these moths or these bees. So according to this feller that wrote this letter, he's kept Italians for many, many moons. But he's saying these wild bees were surely not Italians, else not all of them would have been destroyed by the moth. Okay, so here's where I'm going with this. This is what I was talking to her about. Do we have is he saying we have a genetic or something going on in the genetics of the Italian? According to this man, he's saying if you have the Italian bee, that moth ain't going to get in there and fool around much, or will not destroy a colony. Now, I don't know. This is just what run through my head, but are the bees having these different characteristics of, okay, the Italians possibly keep the wax moths out. Okay, you have guys like, which I was going to mention this. I don't know if y'all seen this, but James Lee's Bees done a pretty good video the other day and had Corey Stevens on it, and they was explaining how they go through and do the count on the numbers of the varroa mite. But is that their same instincts then for the Italian to run that wax moth out, just the same as a VSH would have the tendencies of trying to keep that varroa mite out? So that's what got to running through my head on that part. We'll continue. By the way, does anyone know how old the bee moth gets to be, or how far away from her birth or hatching place she is likely to move or fly? It would surely interest It would surely interest many of the readers to know. Will Professor Cook kindly give us some information on this question also? I am with the professor when he says, if possible, she, the moth, goes to the combs, else she lays her eggs as near to them as she can reach, as I have had combs attacked that cannot possibly be reached by a moth. The latter has been just my experience, and therefore, and for other reasons, I believe that the moth eggs are in the pollen of combs before taken from the center of the strong colonies of Italians, where it is impossible for the moths to lay eggs. And if there were newly hatched moths on such combs, they would be visible in 3 to 4 days on the combs after they were taken from the bees. But that is not the case, for it takes from 7 to 12 days in warm weather before any signs of moth worms are visible on such combs, and then always on the pollen. Besides, my bees carry and clean more or less moths of all stages of development out of their hives all year round, which I have often witnessed in my winter cellars, when they are generally left in the entrances of the hives. I doubt very much that the moth lays eggs in temperatures of 40 degrees or 42 degrees, as in this case, my bee cellars, for 5 months while the bees are in them. And if any eggs were laid in or near the hives in summer, they would have been hatched long before real winter set in. This latitude, as a rule, about November 10th, taking all these connecting evidences and the fact of the moth is a night caterpillar, those night work is hard to understand and observe. I cannot see any other way than that the bees carry and store the eggs with the pollen, and that the moths live and thrive elsewhere besides at or around the beehives or apiaries. Before I close, I will give an experiment I witnessed not long ago as to see. This is pretty cool. I forgot about this part. Let me scroll down a little bit more. All right. Before I close, I will give another experiment I witnessed not long ago. As the season here was a poor one, I had to feed my bees for the winter, for which I boiled sugar water. I boiled sugar and water together and added some honey until I had a 50-gallon barrel nearly full. This was on the evening of October 3rd, 1897. The barrel was left open about the barrel was left open about 15 rods away from my home apiary in the open air to cool off. The night was warm for the time of the year, and on the morning of the 14th, the temperature showed 65 degrees above zero. For any of you Canadians in there, I cannot tell you what that is Celsius. Maybe Lee can.
Lee's already on the bed.
Lee's on the bed.
He's stuck at 9
Oh.
but you gotta get up early.
So on the morning of the 14th, the thermometer showed 65 degrees above zero. I went to the sugary honey barrel and I found it was nearly covered with dead and dying bee moths, with their wings spread and fastened to the sweet mass. And after I pulled them out and had thrown them away, I was sorry that I didn't look for eggs about them. I counted 23 bee moths, and 2 of those were little wee ones because they were little wee ones described in Professor Cook's manual. So let me slow down a second. We catch up on that. So this cat made him a 55-gallon barrel drum.
Mm-hmm.
He's worrying about the wax moth. By accident, he left the lid off for it to cool all night, and so it warmed up during the night. Did the sugar water and that smell the honey in it, maybe too, as well. Draw all them moths over there to that. And if by chance he made an accidental trap, from what it sounded like.
I've heard of crazier things happening.
Okay. All right. So I'm sorry for that. I did not look for eggs about them. I counted 23 bee moths, and 2 of them were little wee ones described in Professor Cook's manual. Now I'd like to know where so many moths come from all at once, for I had not seen any around my bees for a long time before this. There were surely many more that ate of the sweets that did not get stuck fast. I am quite sure that they were not all reared around my bees, for everything that would induce the moth is kept snugly out of reach. I am now aware that we can trap quantities of moths with sweetness in the summertime, but I never saw them in such numbers as in late October, when when they're all supposed to nearly be all dead or asleep. The little wee moth does sometimes considerable mischief with comb or section honey. Some 15 years ago, I had about 6,000 pounds of fine, delicate linden honey in my honey house for about 4 weeks. Y'all know what that is, linden? I didn't even think to look that up. I'm assuming a flower tree, I reckon. Linden. Mm-hmm. So he had about 6,000 pounds of very fine, delicate linden honey in his honey house for about 4 weeks. I had to close it tightly as the bees began getting in and robbing. The room got warm and very damp. I sold 4,000 pounds of it to a Minneapolis firm, not noticing anything wrong about the honey when shipped. Neither did the receivers of the honey. About 4 weeks after, I saw part of this honey stored in a large, airy room on the second floor when one of the firm told me that my honey was wormy. It's a tree? Okay. I looked and found little perfectly round holes. Is that what it is?
Basswood is known as basswood for North American species.
Okay, so linden is a basswood. Okay. Allegedly.
Can't Philip just confirm that linden is basswood?
Okay. All right. I looked perfectly, found little round holes the size a common needle would make over much of the cappings of the honey, and some little webs and mealy stuff, and here and there a little worm in the corners and edges of the combs. But there was not quite enough to spoil the sale of the honey. 3 years ago, I bought 500 pounds of white honey from a neighbor beekeeper who kept the honey for about 2 months in a tight, closed room under the roof of his house. And when he delivered the honey, about half of it was unfit for market. On some combs, there were small patches where the little holes joined and left the honey most bare of cappings. There are only 2 instances of this moth which came under my observation. It seems that they live mostly on the cappings of combs, and probably some honey, for it is a rare thing that I have any pollen in my section. Pollen honey that could be fed in his section. I believe when honey is kept in a warm, airy room, that this moth will do but little harm to the beekeeper. Neither will the bee moth if the beekeeper understands the business. I have never seen the wee-winged moth that I could be sure of. The 2 in the barrel above mentioned compared well with the picture of Professor Cook's manual, so it is probably a night caterpillar in that respect, like the bee moth. I cannot agree with Professor Cook when he says, I do not think the bee moth ever lays her eggs in the pollen in the flowers. So let me back up a little bit on that. He's referring to an article that the Professor Cook wrote a year or so back. So apparently the professor was saying that the bees, I mean, the moth lay their eggs in the pollen of flowers. So that's how they're getting to the colony. Whenever the bee goes to pollinate, this guy's idea is the worm gets on the bee, kind of like a burrower, attaches itself. Here we go to the hive, and we got a place to live. But we know that's incorrect on that, especially nowadays. But I cannot agree with Professor Cook when he says, I do not think the bee moth ever lays her eggs in the pollen in the flowers. We never see her about the flowers, as we certainly should if she was there. Does not the flower furnish all the elements the moth exists on? Why should she not visit them when they contain her very life? These are just different questions he's asking.
Phillips and the wee wee must be the lesser left moth.
I guess so, Philip. Yes. Uh, let's see. Why should she not visit them when they contain her very life? Does not every critter like to be and live in its elements, or is it the moth an exception? By no means do I think that every flower is stocked with moth eggs. We may examine thousands and not find an egg, but every indication of experiments leads me to believe that many eggs are stored in the combs with the pollen. That we never see the eggs on the pollen is no proof that the moth will not lay them there, as distances away from where they cannot find a better chance to do so. No one would claim that we have no North Pole because no one ever saw it.
Ed said the moths I had were in the frame with the bee bread.
In the frame with the bee bread.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me get back. Let me go to my other one here. Because this kind of made me think of something whenever we was reading last week about the fella putting them in the cellar.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of got into the dysentery and eczema and all that stuff. Well, the train done come off the track.
Last week, about losing stuff.
Yeah. All right. The fella said he closed off his cellar. He blocked off the windows where no light could get in. He done the same anywhere that he thought something could get in. He either sealed or blocked off. Well, he had made mention that he put a wire mesh screen over his windows.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that got me to thinking, if he's got the wire mesh screen over the windows, and y'all know what we're talking about. Y'all been in them boxes whenever you find those young wax moths, little bitty old things. I don't know, they ain't an eighth of an inch long, really. They just T90 after they hatch, I guess, out of that pupae state, but little fellas. So why? This is just something I was thinking. If that fella's putting a wire mesh up on top of block and everything, I get that, but why couldn't you put a screen over the top of your boxes and say you found a big, huge rubber band that would hold that screen over the box where no moths could get down into it?
Like for storage?
Yeah, for storage to help keep them out. Now, I get if you got a box to where the ends is chipped up or something like that, you got a big old gap or void, yeah, something could get in. But if you could stack your good boxes together that are nice and tight whenever you stack them on top of each other, why couldn't you just put a screen on the bottom, secure it, and do the same thing on the top and keep the wax moths out that way, instead of possibly putting a chemical or a chemical base something, or having to use an oil of some sort to knock the odor out, I guess, is what it's doing. That way, maybe they can't smell it. But Ed, this was about the best one that I could find on possibilities of what.
Oh, that's DC. So last year when I ran the screened inner covers I made, I used to find wax moths dead on top of the inner covers.
Okay, there we go. Now we got a little bit of something going.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it's on to something, but
Maybe so. I mean, I'd be willing to try it. I'll take a comb or two, and you could do it. You could do it on a nuke. We got some old messed up comb that really, I mean, we stored, but you could sacrifice on that just to see if they get in.
I'm like, no, I can't see the comments because of the stupid little heart thing. So I'm waiting for it to come through.
All right, let's see, DC. DC says they would get up there thinking they could get in, and the propolis would
Get them sticky.
sticky.
Stuff.
Okay. All right.
That's interesting.
So
Chris said I've been blessed. I hadn't had moths. That's good.
well, there was another one I was reading in here too, and I think it may have been in the other bee journal that I'm gonna get to with Grayson and them, or just that little part remind me of Grayson and Vincent. But using screen bottom boards. Apparently, back then, a lot of the beekeepers, to keep the bee moth or wax moth out, they would use them screen bottom boards, and the bees would be able to knock them down and through.
Mm-hmm.
And now we know wintertime and things like that, folks ain't really too keen on using the screen bottom boards. Some people we've watched, they'll leave them on all year.
Mm-hmm.
Like we thought we had a buddy down the road down here, he done it, and lo and behold, those were the best bees coming out of the season.
Yeah. Philip said he personally thinks the moth can lay in the cracks between the stored boxes. But maybe.
I guess anywhere they can find them a little bit of pollen, food, honey, just to survive on.
Mr. Mark said when I ran screened inner covers, I noticed the honey would cure out faster than a solid cover.
All right. So we may actually be on to something with this screen.
Well, I mean, Chris swears by
the screen bottom board.
Yeah.
Well, it did mention too that if you had like a catch pan, the way they was explaining in 1800s, pretty much it sounds like they've done the same thing, made a oil trap of sorts on some of them. Now you had your regular screen bottom boards where everything just fell straight on down to the ground. But some of the beekeepers did have a catch pan, and all the captains that would fall down into it, they would notice if there was any wax moth larvae of sorts, there would be more down there because they can meander around in the captains and grow and chew. And apparently it wasn't this article, but in the other one it had mentioned as well about the wax moths. We know how they'll chew and tunnel, and they'll make that little web run down through there. But them actually being able to chew wax and digest it, instead of it being something hard for them to take and digest through their little bitty old system, that wax. Undoubtedly, whenever the Lord designed these little critters as well, He designed them to be able to chew, digest, grow, pupate, and carry on into the next generation of pests. So it may be worth a shot to. I mean, I wouldn't take, 10 boxes, sacrifice that just to know, but it would be something to know. Maybe take one box or something, dedicate, and just try it for the whole season. Put some screen on it,
Mhm.
see how it goes. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, so
Yeah.
be it. But it would be better if you, like, say, you just do something simple as that. And you're not having to stick that. What's the name of the moth stuff they put? They tell you can put in there to help keep them out.
Well, that's what Blaine was just saying. So I used Paramount to store some comb frames, and the dang moths still got in there. So I don't know if the heat of the summer just made the Paramount not last long or what.
Now we haven't really studied into this real hard or done scientific research, if you will, but how we figured out about the eucalyptus was from one of the old timers. Lord, when I was a teenager, this man was well into his 80s and almost 90s, but he was the butcher around here and he was the beekeeper around here. And they had big problems with the moths. And that's where we figured out from them that, hey, we would put eucalyptus in the colony or in the boxes, and that would help keep them out. Now I've noticed if I go down there, whenever we were stacking them in the summer, and I wasn't getting to them in the time, the boxes that I kept putting the eucalyptus in, there really wasn't no wax moth issue. But say the 3 or 4 days, if I left a box out from one of the hive beetle issues, it would just transfer from the hive beetles killing and taking over the rest of everything into the wax moths coming in. It just
Making another disaster.
yes. But I'll be willing to try that. Try a little bit of screen on something, see how it goes.
It's another good point. And we were talking about it not long ago because we didn't understand it either, but said screen inner covers, they'll propolis, but the screen bottom boards, they don't.
They won't propolis.
They're even up at Lance's. There wasn't a spot of propolis on that bottom.
No, not on the bottom boards. I'm assuming they just using that real good for ventilation. If they're not propolizing any of that, it's just worked out real good on how they feel of ventilation. We know if they don't like it, they're going to propolize it. It don't matter if it's a 4-foot section eventually. They're going to get it propolized. Could you remember the horizontal hive?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever we had.
Yeah, we put the screen across the entrance and they propolized the whole thing shut.
Sure did.
We couldn't believe it.
On one of the horizontal hives, we had the Comanche, I think was the bunch we had in there. And y'all, for about 3 years, she did wonderful in that box. I'm talking about we could just let her just about 30 frames and just let her rip. So the same thing, I think it was year before last, we snugged everybody down for the winter. And come summertime, we started getting into that heat. It was like, well, let's open them on up, add them some frames.
Mm-hmm.
And we have entrances for each one. So we had to close off an entrance where robbers couldn't get in, try to keep the beetles out, so on and so forth. But that little entrance is probably about 5 inches by 3/4 of an inch. And we was thinking we was giving them some help. So, well, y'all, it's summertime, you got plenty of ventilation, y'all good to go. Well, before we knew it, they done propolized that whole entrance up. They didn't leave a spot for them to exit or nothing.
It was completely closed off.
I reckon it's just how they feel it. They know.
They know what they want.
Yeah.
We do, apparently.
All right. Let me get down here to my other one. Now, let me make sure I'm exactly where I want to be before I get too deep. Okay. Yep. All right. Now we're going to transition over
New topic.
new topic. Unless y'all still what we got on the wax off there.
There's stuff I'm talking about. Well, I don't know, DC and Larimore and Blaine don't get in trouble
Uh-oh.
with their wives.
Y'all better be
Well, DC
careful.
doesn't have a wife.
Christmas times are coming. Don't mess up.
Mhm.
Remember, these are lives, and they can go back and look and see them comments. Yeah.
Yeah. There's Grammy.
Hey, Grammy. Steve come in too. Who else
Yeah,
bounced
he
in
just
here?
came in. Chris came in. You didn't see. You were reading.
Yeah, good to see you too, Chris. Been a little while, brother. Hope you've been doing okay.
I think that's the only two.
Okay. All right. New topic. Let me get my pinch of snuff here. We'll go, y'all. All right. Bad queens. Yeah. We'll get on the queens for a second. Because it in here, it goes into our time of the year, early and late fall. But the subject on this one,
Gosh, Larimore. If she gets mad, I won't have to buy her a Christmas present.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, we can't use the Ron White on that one. Get her a diamond and that'll shut her up. But
Blaine said put another pink on the other side for me, Tim.
I'll do it, my friend, because it's Copenhagen snuff. That's all. Yeah, y'all better be careful, gentlemen. I'm going to keep my mouth shut on a lot of this. But y'all carry on that way. I get a good laugh out of what y'all going to get into. Okay.
Get her a broom she can ride out. Y'all are terrible.
We're starting in on beekeeping confessions again.
Beekeeping confession.
While I say that, I meant to say this one in the other lives. I've been telling her, I said we were jawing in one of the other lives about beekeeping confessions, how, we were trying that, strong microbial. And when Bob took a bite of it, and he was, oh, Tim, you tried and this and that. So, yeah, I got me a piece and broke it off. Y'all seen it. Chunked that baby in my mouth and started chewing on it. I didn't tell y'all this. I was telling her this the next day because then it hit me after I seen what it was when I put it out on the bees out there.
If I'd have had a camera,
Well, while we was doing the live and I was chewing that thing and I'm telling y'all, well, it's kind of like honey. It had a different taste. It's really not that bad, but I wasn't telling y'all this part. I was like, man, it's like gummy or waxy. Well, I choked it on down and we finished off the live chat. And I went out there the next day and put, some good slices on the bees to see how it went. Well, as I'm doing this, I'm out here by myself doing this for the moment. I'm cutting them up and I look and it hit me. You idiot. I chewed up the wax paper and everything. I didn't pull the wax paper off. So I chewed up the wax paper. I chewed up the small microbial and whatever's in there. So that was my beekeeping confession I've been holding back on. I'm going to tell y'all. But,
yeah.
Okay.
On to your queen stuff.
Okay. Bad queens. Something about queens and stopping robbing. This is the same deal by Mr. C.B. Elliott. While I'm somewhat a novice in apiculture in Colorado, I have been noting with much interest the articles of Dr. E. Gallup and others on establishing a standard for queens. See page 660 of the 1897. All I shall speak about is my own experience. I will give it for what it's worth, and there may be some points in it worthy of consideration. Last week, in September of 1896, how in the world did it go for me? Anyway, the last week in September of 1896, I by chance found queen cells in one hive, for that some reason had lost her queen. For fear the young queen might be lost in mating, I took out one of the cells and gave it a handful of bees in an American hive. American hive. Y'all know what he talking about American hive? Langstroth, I guess, maybe. Which was full of honey. I did this simply to be on the safe side in mating. The colony rearing the queens was rather weak. On October 3rd to 5th, I found both queens had hatched about the 15th of September, both to my surprise laying. Now what to do with both queens was a problem. As the handful had plenty of honey, I decided to let them chance it. I did not think there was 1 pint of bees. So he just took him a little bit of bees with each queen, a little bit of bees with the other queen. To my surprise, about January 1st, the handful of bees was about double in size, and the queen was still laying. There was brood in 3 frames. Monthly, from then on till spring, I watched them. She was laying continuously, gaining ground all the time, and by June, they were one of the strongest colonies I had out of the 190 spring count. So the two little old thing, he didn't think was going to do nothing. He gave him a shot. Have the dates, details, everything. Everything.
They're much more organized than we are.
Ain't that the truth? Because I jot it down at the last minute and still forget what it is. There was brood in the frames monthly. From then until spring, I watched them. She was laying continuously, gaining ground all the time, and by June, they were one of the strongest colonies I had out of the 190 spring count. The colony produced as much, if not more, honey than any other I had. By an oversight, I failed to keep track of the number of supers filled by them, but nearly as I can tell, it was 8 or 9. That man done stacked 8 or 9 supers.
They did not swarm during the season.
No, I mean,
don't imagine so.
No, I think he mentions that here in a piece of it where they would not swarm. But 8 or 9 supers on his little bitty batch of bees that he didn't think, well, good luck to you ladies.
I'd have to have me an 8-foot step ladder to get up there.
Oh, it looked like who was it Canada Brad that was showing a couple years ago?
I think
the man had
them way up there.
Yeah, I'm thinking, look, there ain't no way a thunderstorm come around here, buddy.
They'd be gone.
We wouldn't have to worry about bears.
But
it would be cool to stack them that high. Now you get that much honey in a good season, that'd be all right. All right, back to it. All right, he says, the oversight, I failed to keep track of the number of supers filled by them, but as nearly as I could tell, it was 8 or 9. They did not swarm during the season. I kept 3 or 4 supers on them all the time. They still would hang out at the hive as all could not go inside. So 8 or 9 supers, and they still bearded out of a little bitty bunch. Mm-hmm. Do we give up on our queens too early sometimes? Maybe. Food for thought. I know not every one of them is going to be perfect, but the late season queens, undoubtedly, this cat had 2 of them that done well. Mm-hmm. All right, they would still hang out. Nobody could get inside. The sister queen, I lost track of. As I bunched my hives together for winter, I would have known nothing about this had she not been in an odd hive with a handful of bees and keeping track of them through curiosity. I'm now experimenting with October 10 queens, started laying about the 15th. Now they have a nice lot of brood. The 10 colonies are all weak. I started into winter with 354 colonies, all with plenty of honey and all strong with the exception of the 10 mentioned. So
Pretty cool.
that ends that little bit. So
Well, Mom. So I thought my queens were weak, but they were just late bloomers.
there we go. Now, excuse me. The have any of y'all had a better experience with late season queens? Have you paid attention to that?
Mm-hmm.
Do your late season queens seem to, you don't think, they ain't gonna make it? Then you end up having the same good problem as this fella here. Whenever they come out, she starts going, and by the time the flow gets here, you stacking boxes on top of boxes to keep them at bay. I wish we could have done it. This has been the only year that we haven't been able to take and try any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Where we at the end of November?
The very end of November.
Okay. This time last year, we had 4 swarms come into the yard. That's not any of our swarms.
Mm-mm. I don't remember how many we had. Or we had.
It was like a couple of them was mid, and I know the last ones was late November on them. But this year, I wouldn't even. There ain't a drone out there to even think about trying.
The late swarms I caught last year were my strongest producers.
Okay. You got
Mr. Mark said the same.
same thing. Larry Moore and Mr. Mark, pretty much the same.
DC. I think the majority of the queens I have ended up late season queens because of the issues I had all season. Maybe on something.
So could it be a good thing to try to start rearing?
Late season queens.
Yeah, getting you some good, if you've got the drone populations to do it.
Yeah.
By all means. Because if not, then it's just, y'all know it's useless to even try to even think about doing it. But if you got the drones to do it, and usually we would for the most part, just every other year it's been just like that, where we could easily walk out there if we wanted to and just do a walk away split in September, and we would feel pretty comfortable with them going into winter and everything, and not worry about too much. But most definitely not this year. Now we'll try it again once again, spring and all that, but it would be interesting if somebody did, I guess, keep them notes. Let me take 10 queens in spring and try 10 queens in the fall.
It said too, his Holly hive, he got her she was October, and she was the yard resource hive. Like he beat everybody else up off of her supply.
Oh yeah, well,
so she was his strongest too.
Well, watching Ed's videos, you can see if you go back from the beginning of where he got her, all the way up, even into this season. Man, she was or she still is. I'm assuming, just one of those queens that you wish. I mean, I wish I could do all my colonies along these lines. Let's see, ideally, the queens I was trying to make with the failed queen machine would have been late season queens to replace, and I thought I needed
And I thought,
uh, to replace any I thought I needed. Just didn't work.
Hmm.
All right, so we got some pretty good feedback on that part.
I hate that stupid hard.
Well, I tried to figure out how to take that heart away a while ago, y'all, and it just I forgot my password to YouTube, and it just anyway, we'll get it figured out. Hopefully, get it out there next time.
I was reading Kimberly's. Said she kept stacking her hives with supers too, and doesn't think they swarmed this year, but they were in a drought too. I think just about everybody ended up in a drought this year. But she's way up in Illinois. I think, yeah, Sarah's Indiana, she's Illinois.
Oh, it was a bad drought down here. Mr.
Yeah.
Donnie come by for a little bit, and that was one of our subjects about everything going on this year.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Maybe we'll try to remember when spring comes. Mr. Donnie has got, he has taken old lighter knot. All right, y'all. Y'all imagine this. This man has went through the woods and drug out probably a mile of lighter knot.
He's got an awesome looking fence across the front of his place with it though.
Yes, he does. It looks like an old, I guess, military boundary, if you will. It's really cool looking, but he stacked those lighter knots all down through his yard to make a fence.
It's awesome.
But
It's incredible.
he's got, I don't know, all kind of lilies and flowers and just gladiolas. And whenever that thing blooms out in spring, it's
It's a canvas of color. Like all spring and summer, there's something blooming. But he's got it fixed up out there. Really, really pretty.
and I'm hoping that's something. I ain't seen him in here, but Lord willing, that was going to be part of the plan too, was to get Mr. Donnie fixed up with a new one here at the house. And I was thinking about it a while ago when he come by. Hopefully,
Lord willing, next season we'll be back to normal, or at least our normal. We knew how to work with that.
mm-hmm. Well, it kept us busy because oftentimes it wasn't nothing to get honey bound going into before you even got to the summer flow. You would start getting honey bound off the privet and everything else coming in.
Jasper's eating shit.
Uh-oh. Okay. Now, I guess the continuance on that, where it went into the queen and it said how to stop the robin, and this is just a short couple paragraphs. I think it was just a couple paragraphs. Let me go back in here, make sure. Yeah. Wait a minute.
You already finished that one.
That one? Okay. All right. This is where we was yakking about. That's it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Where we mentioned earlier about this was our most viewed video, and we done this, but we picked this up from the Foxfire book, out of the little beekeeping portion, and in it, there's, I don't know, maybe a chapter or so in one of those old Foxfire books where they go through and they talk how they kept bees back in the day up there in the mountains and the Appalachian folks. And one of the ways that they helped feed their bees was salt water, make a brine. And they would take and either with a dried corn cob, what we took and we soaked it in a good heavy, I think it was Mediterranean sea salt, I believe is what it was. And we soaked the dried corn cob in the salt water. So you can either soak it in the dry, this is what we done. You can either soak it or you can put it in a little bowl and just leave the corn cob in there and let the bees crawl around and drink whatever they want to out of the bowl on top of whatever draws into the old dry corn cob. But make you a mix of salt water. I get heavy salt. Put that little deal on there. Soak it good for about, I don't know, I just soaked it 2 or 3 minutes really. And that's whenever we went and sat it out on the bottom boards at the entrance. And y'all, it didn't take them but just a second. I don't know if they smelt it that fast or what, but those little old guards come out and they run their little antennas across it, and it wasn't just a second or two later, they started pulling on it. And before you knew it, there was 15, 20 bees. And this was in the evening time, I believe, whenever I filmed this. But then bees pulled to that salt water. And we done this all year last year. I didn't do it any this year. But the salt is part of their good micronutrient, if you will. That's why we see them pulling these different minerals out of the nasty mud we think is a nasty mud hole or mud puddle. Mm-hmm. And you see them there drinking out of, you think you got clean water over here, y'all, but y'all go to the mud puddle. Well, we know what they're doing. They're pulling the micronutrients out of the ground, taking it back, feeding it to the colony.
Mm-hmm. That's what Larimore just said. They hang around my mineral blocks for livestock after a rain.
They pulling on the mineral block too. Just same way.
Once he puts out for livestock, like what we see in the feeds too.
The big ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we put out a little of a salt block. We get one every year for the deer, and we put out. And from time to time, you'll see the bees out there pulling on that salt block too.
They did. They hit that corn cob a whole lot harder pulling that salt water out though than they did actually chewing on the solid block.
Oh yeah, they stayed all over that until it, I guess it dried out of salt, or they got everything out of it, because it wasn't a day or two later you'd start noticing
that corn cob getting dry.
Yeah, and they wouldn't fool them with it too much. But as soon as you go soak it back up and put it right back out there, they'll be on it again. Yeah. But that's what this article here gets into some of that. So, all right, how to stop robbing. So from some fella named, no, this is from Arapahoe, Colorado, Arapahoe County, Colorado. Mm-hmm. It don't have a name, but how to stop robbing. I noticed an article on stopping robbing. My plan is this, and it is effective. Close the hives all but a half inch or so a matter. Then every few minutes, sprinkle or spray the front of the hives, bees and all, with a strong solution of salt water. The water should be quite briny. Don't fear, it won't hurt them. But on the contrary, it will do them good and will stop robbing in a short time. By the way, I spray my bees fall and spring with salt water, quite strong, about a half a teacup to the hive. I raise the cover and spray down. I don't believe you can find a livelier lot of bees anywhere than we have. Also during the summer, if I find a colony not doing as they should, I treat them with a dose of salt water. Interesting, yeah. So apparently, you got a weak colony too, according to this fella, to help boost them, I'm assuming. Mm-hmm. Fix them up with a little bit of salt water, or a dose he's got here.
Oh no, just he said I found out how to start a robbing frenzy this year. I won't do that again.
Now just open the lid in the dirt.
I'll do that.
Pull some out. We just now starting to get in.
Gandy, I haven't seen him.
Hey, Mister, hope y'all feeling a little bit better.
Yeah, I hope you and Miss Sherry feeling better.
Let's see what else we want.
You still have the internet?
Yeah, is the Wi-Fi still going? That's the only way I can look at this area.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, dadgummit.
Are you serious?
I think this is it. Pretty serious. Reconnect. Y'all bear with me. Now I'm gonna jump over here to this little article that got me to thinking about Grayson and those
Just
little
that they're
fellas.
doing better, but still have a headache. They're having headaches now.
That's what when we had that thing last year.
This year. New Year's.
Yeah, New Year's this year. Then that's how it started off for me. Migraine for about 3 days and just would not let up. Uh,
Really, Mr. Mark? I'd be scared to death to do that. He said old timers told me to take the tops off of all the hives when robbing, and the bees will all go back home to protect their hive.
well, I
That's
guess it makes
what
sense.
I mean. It makes sense, but I don't know if I'd have the guts to do that.
All right, get back over here.
Yeah, I don't know. DC said a sugar water spray while introducing a fresh queen. Wow, that was
Oh
exciting.
no, DC.
That was how I found out my BlackBerry flow had turned off.
Oh no.
Yeah, he said Miss Sherry's feeling better, just weak. That's what it took us
But,
months to
yeah.
get over that.
I mean, seriously, about a good month and a half before we got energy back about ourselves.
DC said he did that. I closed the ones they were trying to rob and opened all the other colonies, and they went home quick.
So it worked.
I guess so. Blaine said he's heard that a big beekeeping operation in Texas said they do that.
Okay.
And Mr. Larry said the same thing I did. I've heard that, but too scared to try it. I don't know. Apparently, there's some speaking from experience here.
Well, if you just got mom and pop type folks like us, kind of kicking around a little bit, or you on the sideline,
Yeah.
or if you got a few hundred hives. I guess from what Blaine's saying, them folks out there got a bunch of hives.
Yeah. You gonna read them?
Oh, yeah, you have to say, huh. Yeah, you're right, DC. All you can do is just make it worse. That's it. Maybe calm them all down after that. All right, we even, folks. We're going to be around here. I'm getting close, I think, to. It's just a little piece on that part I'm talking about with. Okay, here we go. This is what. It's just a little old short paragraph, but kind of make you think you get your first bunch of bees, if you will. But this is a 13-year-old boy giving his experience. Says a boy's experience with bees. Jimmy, there goes an after swarm to the woods. Catch 'em, you may have 'em. It says the boy gave chase and succeeded after a run of 2 miles in heading them off in a cornfield, and by throwing dirt, made them return and alight on a bush by the way. I went to the nearest house, obtained a few rags, matches, and a little box, and then shook the bees on the ground, smoked them in, and returned them home with my bees. I put them in a 9-frame Langstroth hive, and they rewarded me with 40 pounds of nice comb honey and 1-pound sections and I have a strong colony of Italian bees in good condition for wintering. I am 13 years old, and this was in 1889. I am 13 years old, and I think I will make a beekeeper. Father commenced the season with 18 colonies, increased them to 44, minus the one colony, and his daddy obtained 1,500 pounds of comb honey. And this, I'm assuming the young man's name was James Garfield Daggett from Conrad Grove, Iowa. But that little experience just kind of made me think about Grayson getting in his first, well, I guess he's going to his third or fourth year now, but just a youngin' getting into the spirit experience of doing all this and enjoying at the same time. That's why I say we should be mentoring these youngins and encouraging them to, hey, yeah, we'll help y'all get into this. We need to be here lifting that next little generation up, even though, we're just a fifth year here ourselves. But what you gonna do if there ain't a generation behind, or if we take and lead them wrong in some sort of way? But I'm just hoping that's something we can all do is encourage them youngins, whether it's Grayson and Vincent doing their little lives, or if it's grand youngin, nieces, nephews that get interested in it, or you got James, old McNally up there. He's doing a great job with those youngins in the 4-H. Giving them a path to go on, and instead of kind of going in blind and not what to do. Old James up there saying, "Hey, look, if y'all listen to me, this is how we can make it work." Then eventually, you can get out on your own and be doing the same in a couple years. Just, I'm a big proponent in helping one another and doing it in a godly manner. Oh no, I won't get on that preaching too much. What?
A kid chased bees 2 miles? That kid deserves it.
Yeah, well, according to the article, the little fella said he chased them 2 miles to catch that swarm.
Mm-hmm.
Then finally, there ain't no telling how much dust that youngin threw up in the air trying to get them bees to light somewhere. You can imagine that run. Please land, let me catch you.
Jasper finally woke up from his nap.
Oh, is it Jasper's segment now?
Mm-hmm. He got his hair and makeup done.
There you go. Jasper.
That's okay.
Hey.
Oh,
It's like we shamed him for something.
no, what a kid.
I did get a little piece of him a while ago dozing off. He's about to fall out of that chair, dozing off, sitting up. I may put that up there for y'all, but it was pretty hilarious.
It said we need to be our brother's keepers.
Exactly. Yes, sir. Like I said,
Make some room.
we'll do what we can to help you. We can tell you more of what not to do versus on the what to do. There's plenty of knowledgeable men and women in here that can tell you, all right, look, this is how I do it. You can try it this way, but this is what's worked for me. And to try to do it in a break your workload down so you ain't killing yourself. Work smarter, not harder kind of deal. Mm-hmm.
Try to anyway.
But that's the topics for the evening, y'all.
Unless y'all got something y'all want to talk about.
Yeah, link's in there. I'll shut up for a minute. Y'all come on in and tell us about it if you want. If not, we'll wrap it up here in the next 20 minutes or so. But,
Larimer said, yeah, hold my coffee and watch this.
yeah. Let me meander around here a second. If there's anything else.
I can't read that.
Well, all right. We'll wait, see if doorbell rings. If not, we'll just kind of go off this and go from there. So a lot of y'all are getting into the honey and beeswax market. And these are just little short sentences, really, I guess, of people saying what they're doing, kind of basically the same thing what everybody else has been doing with, feeding off brine with this cream honey. Detroit, December 20th. Combed honey is dull and lower, now quoted at 12 to 14 cents.
For how much?
Extracted is 7 to 8 cents with few sales. Beeswax is now in good demand at 24 to 25 cents. I'm going to say a pound, maybe, or an ounce. I'm not sure.
25 cents was Opie's whole allowance for the week. And he had to work for it, too.
Well, if he hadn't run off with that little boy riding his bicycle that day, he would have got his money and not gotten in trouble.
Which episode I was talking about.
Mm-hmm. That young and getting old Opie in trouble. Don't mind your daddy. You see where it gets you? Behind the woodshed. Mm-hmm. Boston, December 26th. Sales are slow. Fancy white clover, 1 pound at 16 to 17 cents. Fair to good, 15 to 16 cents. 2 pounds are at 15 to 16 cents. And the beeswax is at 24 cents. Blakely and Ripley at 57th Chatham Street. That's in Boston. So anybody in Boston?
White clover.
Fancy white clover.
Brian said it would be interesting to see what honey was per pound in relation to what beeswax was at those times.
Well, we may have an answer.
Beeswax?
Maybe a piece of an answer on this next one. In Chicago on December 27th, white clover at 1 pound was at 12 to 13 and a half cents. Basswood was at 11 to 11 and a half cents. Buckwheat, 8 to 10 cents. Extracted was 6.5 to 7.5 cents. Beeswax dark, 23 to 24 cents. And the bright beeswax was at 25 to 26 cents. And that was from ST Fish and Company at 189 South Water Street in Chicago. Hey, what else was in here? In Kansas City on December 24th, demand is light and prices lower, owing to the beekeepers offering honey at 11 to 12.5 cents, delivered throughout the West. Very fancy. 1 pound, 12 in a crate, 13 cents. Good fancy honey, I'm assuming, was 12.5 cents. Dark was 10 cents. 2 pounds of white was at 12 cents. And the dark wax was at 10 cents. Extracted white was 7 cents and extracted dark was 5 to 6 cents.
He gets 15 cents for honey and 25 for wax.
All right, there's one more here from Milwaukee, December the 27th. He says the market's dull, only best grades demand. White, 1 pound, 13 to 14 cents. 2 pounds, 11 to 12 cents. Dark 1 pounds, 12 to 13, 2 pounds, 10 to 12, extracted white in barrels, 7 to 7.5 cents. And half barrels or kegs are 10, 7.5 to 8 cents. Dark in barrels, 6 to 6.5 cents. The kegs are 6.5 to 7. And the beeswax is 22 to 25 cents a pound. And that's from A.V. Bishop at 142 West Water Street in Milwaukee. Yes, sir. So a pound of beeswax around 1898 in Milwaukee was running about 22 to 25 cents. Boy, them days are long ago.
Yeah. Sad reality. Jasper's going back to
He's over. Like y'all didn't show me enough on the TV.
mm-hmm.
Let me see here, y'all. We can rummage through something else. All right, here's a little bit more. Honey in the home market. I have been in the bee business for several years, and I have usually found it profitable. My report for 1889 is as follows. I increased my apiary by 40 colonies, spring count to 75 colonies. By natural swarming, produced 3,000 pounds of comb honey and 200 pounds of extracted honey, nearly all of which is unsold. I sell comb honey in the home market at least 16 cents per pound. I've always sold my honey in the home market at prices never having shipped a pound to the market center. So they're doing everything in house, kind of like us.
Mm-hmm.
But what they say again? How much it was a pound?
Oh, you
Okay.
read off so many prices on that.
What is the same one? It says I sell comb honey in the house market at 16 cents per pound. And it's saying I've always sold my home, done it there in the home market. We starved to death nowadays.
Yeah.
And somebody was mentioning, and one of the other lives about sugar going up to almost $1 a pound.
Todd or Blaine was saying that it was fixing to get there.
It's there here, y'all.
It's there.
It's $1 a pound for sugar around here.
Yeah, it was $9.70 something cents for a 10-pound bag before tax.
I about had a fit.
No, he had a fit.
Like, what's wrong? It just keeps going up. So what's that in turn? That puts more cost on the customer at the end. Well, not really on the honey end, but far as cost to try to catch up from keeping the bees alive through the winter.
Mm-hmm.
You got that extra added cost of putting the sugar on, whether you're doing sugar water or you're doing fondants or whatever you may be to, feed them a little bit. What Blaine say?
He said that's nuts. I hadn't checked lately. He still has a couple 100 pounds, but might need to buy some before it gets to $2 a pound.
I mean, being serious, yeah, y'all. I don't know if anybody else around, but down here in South Alabama, it's $1 a pound. Well, pretty much $1 a pound.
Said that sugar going up for Christmas cakes and pies.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Yep. With the price of sugar, I may breathe. Yeah. Well, maybe. I don't want to give it away, but maybe we can get a fellow to come in and talk about some of that. or too
Yeah,
long.
it ain't near as bad as ours. At $18 for a 20, or almost 19 for a 25-pound bag at Walmart, where he's at.
Yeah, no, it's definitely cheaper over there right now.
Not by a ton, but it's a little bit cheaper apparently.
What we may have to end up doing, and I know we've recommended this to people the last year or two and checking in, but we may have to go to the big beekeeper down the road here and get him to sell us some sugar out of those big, 1 ton bags that I'm assuming it's a ton of sugar, but it's a big old
I thought
bag.
it's really.
Mm-hmm. Down there.
They couldn't. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they get it like shipped in on a tractor trailer, but it's like huge feed sacks, but as big as a pallet. So I'm assuming it's at least 1,000 to 2,000 pounds of sugar that they bring in.
Sugar. Water. Yeah, DC said his those big old blocks of sugar he got from Paris was 20 cents a pound.
I mean,
Yeah, it might be a new little side business for you, DC.
hustling sugar.
Uh-huh.
So look, I got a 1 pound bag for 75 cents.
Yeah.
All right,
I wish you could get still somewhere.
meander around here and we'll try to kill another 10 minutes on something else. I tell you what, we'll just close this and we'll feed off everybody in the chat.
A lot of people are going on to bed.
Everybody going to bed.
Tracy said the vacation's over. Got to go to work early in the morning.
Yeah.
Why? He said, I'll buy 1,000 pounds from you if you'll deliver for free.
Yes. Okay. We got a good deal, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like me to unload that too? Yeah, is that all of the list?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You talked about your snacks.
Yeah. Just think about making it into. Well, I mean, it may be a good idea to do something along those lines, DC, to help take care of costs to start with, and especially if y'all's prices are going up too. I imagine if ours is going up, it ain't gonna be long. It'll go to trickling on up to the North Country. But you would assume cane sugar would be cheaper down here because they grow it. I mean, it's growing all over the place down and around here. Now, there was at one of the little grocery stores we got around here, I know last year we was getting a Louisiana cane sugar, pure cane sugar, for like $1 less than what the name that Dixie Crystals and all them. It was about $1 cheaper getting a 4 pound bag of the Louisiana cane sugar, which I mean it's 100% cane sugar. So sugar in a sense, as long as they ain't putting nothing or taking out of it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, DC said it's just scratch sugar. Stop.
Get your hand stop. Oh, so you get what you're getting is the scraps in those big bags. Let's see, I have to read Darren's. The generic sugar I buy at Walmart must be only step up from scrap from sugar.
DC said it's the cast off from shipping.
So it's still just as good. Ain't nothing wrong with it.
The sugar that's swept up, basically sweepings.
Huh.
Whatever fell out in shipping containers, they sweep it up.
selling off for half the price.
Less than half, a fifth of the price. Down here, he paid 20 cents a pound. We're paying $1 a pound.
Yeah.
I mean, whoever it was, Larimore or Blaine. Well, hey, David.
Evening, David. Appreciate you coming in. I don't know. We don't have any that I know of a sugar mill close by that I know of. I mean, I haven't looked to see where the closest place is, but there's bound to be somebody nearby. It's probably over in closest one, probably that one in Louisiana we was just yakking about. But that was just one of my deals, thinking, that it's all over the place down and around here.
Yeah. But it's getting into the holiday season. Everybody down here bakes like crazy this time of year.
Oh yeah, because you can't find no pie fillings or the pies. What am I looking for? Pie shells.
Yeah.
That's one of the hardest things to find. Sugar.
A lot of the Christmas spices are impossible to find right now.
So, well, maybe it'll go down there for the first year, but we'll see. It just, dadgummit. Got to stop somewhere.
Like Mr. Martin said, the price of everything's going up.
Well, I mean, you're right. We was having that conversation in church before the service this morning, talking to some of the gentlemen. And, we've been trying to run a business for, I guess, officially, trying to run a business for the last 10 plus years. And when others went up on prices, I've always tried to keep mine at a competitor's level, if you will, and oftentimes below that to help folks out. But I was telling them, I said, y'all, I said, I've had to go up on labor prices. Whenever typically I wouldn't charge somebody to do one thing, I'm having to take and add that cost in now, where normally I wouldn't worry about that cost. But now I'm having to put it in there. But
yeah, and I feel you. All the seasonings have gone through the roof right now. It's at $8 for a small thing of apple pie seasoning.
oh, I got it. When she makes her ice spiced tea, and I love it. This time of the year, all the way in through winter, she'll make it for me, and we'll just constantly keep a big old pot of it. But that little bitty container, if you will, of what, 6? No,
cinnamon
the
sticks.
cinnamon sticks. About 5 or 6 cinnamon sticks that she puts.
If I buy just the regular little package, it was like $10.99 or something for 6 cinnamon sticks the other day. I was like, y'all are killing people here. I got my sister to go to Sam's and get me the giant one that's got like 75 sticks. For Jasper, his screen time.
Look at me.
It's made a flying leap into the recliner. That took out the little stand the cameras on.
Oh, you're right, to see prices are out the roof on materials.
It's ungodly right
Especially.
now.
And this is one thing I don't get in the building and construction end. I can go buy a dozen 12-foot 2x4s at a price. But if I turn around and go buy a dozen 1x4s of the same length, we'll say 2x4 12, they're going to be X amount of dollars.
As much money for the 1x.
Yeah, the 1x costs double than what a 2x costs.
It makes no sense.
I don't get it.
Half the lumber, but twice the cost.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
I guess it's more cutting, I guess. A little more wear on that blade. Getting that thing 3/4 of an inch.
He's powerful. He took him off.
Don't be mad, Jasper. Yeah, but David says hello, Jasper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody said hey too.
That's you.
It's like, what do you know? The home improvement industry helped destroy price stability. I hope we weren't part of that problem.
Now we just trying to make it. Just in plan on selling it. Oh yeah, a 1x12. You better hold on to your billfold going in there for an 8-footer too.
Yeah. Ed said you can't get a straight board to save your life at Lowe's. No, you could dig through a pallet of them things and you ain't gonna find a single one straight.
You sure ain't. I just tell the folks at the lumber yard, if I'm getting a bunch of wood and I got to, let's say I'm building, doing on a raw trim work for somebody, or you want a deck built, I'm going to try to put my cups up as they should be. So with my cup, I want a good looking face. And oftentimes, if I got to get, let's say 30, 40 boards, I just tell the guys at the lumber yard, so look, you can help me if you want to, but I'm going to have to dig through this stack to pick what's going to be the best face boards so I can finish out and have a good looking product for somebody. Because if you just tell them, say, hey, look, this is my material list, I'm paying for it, y'all load it, y'all have it bounded together for me, and I'll pick it up in the morning. You'll have a mess on your hands trying to finish out a job and make it look good, because they'll just throw whatever on there. It don't matter what it looks like.
Yeah, Blaine said I dug through 100 or so boards and leave the store with about 2 to 4 that were only acceptable.
Yep. Even trying to get in the busted up stuff, they still don't want to come off the price on it. If you get a piece to say, splitting on the end just a few inches, which you could cut off if you know what you're doing. Well, yeah, hey, I can shave off that and still have plenty to build whatever I want to build. Now they ain't going to come off that either.
That's it, DC. That's what it all comes down to, is who can make the most money the quickest. He said the companies found out they could make more in volume instead of quality.
Oh yeah. Well, we can tell you this, for example, and we've watched this and seen this. I can't tell you umpteen dozen times, as they say, but when we get, a storm come in, we get a hurricane, and you got the damage everywhere. Well, here in Mobile, some of the little lumber yards were saying, oh, well, we're slacked on lumber. We ain't got any kind of 2-bys or anything along those lines. All right. Well, this is the truth. We could drive from the lumber store or the local big box places. We could drive downtown Mobile, and right off one of the interstates right there, there's a big lumber mill. And you could drive by
piles and piles of lumber
stacked up.
just sitting out there rotting.
Yeah.
For no reason.
So
at all.
Y'all get y'all's material from this local distributor, but yet you're telling me y'all don't have enough whenever I can drive into the big city and literally look over the interstate and see stacks of lumber there, and you're sticking it to us? No. But that's my fuss. Get on that too
It's
much.
worse than football fuss.
Ain't that the truth?
Mm-hmm.
Roll Tide, y'all. Roll Tide.
That's what Jasper has to say about that. Chilling. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Oh yeah, DC. I mean,
Yeah.
even when things was when we went through the lockdowns and everything, okay, we were essential workers. The prices went way up. You're talking $80, almost $90 for a sheet of plywood.
Oh, they did 100 for treated plywood down here. Right at the very
Beginning,
peak of all that crap.
but we just seen how they were. It goes to the consumer, the customer. I mean, it's not coming out your billfold unless you're trying to do a home improvement project at your house. Then you go to really seeing how much it costs to try to take and do anything. Or like Blaine's talking about, if you want to get you some 1x12s and build you some little nukes or get you some boxes, lids, whatever the case may be, an 8-foot 1x12 is going to cost you, I don't know, $40 to $60 down here, roughly.
I don't know. It's been a while since we crossed 1 to 12.
So in the long run, really, it is cheaper.
Mr. Mark, I really hope we're a long way away from Walmart delivering by drones out at my house.
Hey, you know what's going to happen, Mr. Mark? You know that incident you had in your house with that shotgun? That's what's going to happen around here. I got me one, boys. Yeah, I don't know about all that. I'll just go pick my stuff up. Y'all don't bring your machine to the house.
No. No.
What was that David saying? Said I got my lumber from the Amish about 2 miles from the house. All wood is true size.
I know they do, DC. That's just way too much technology for me. Don't you send some stupid little flying machine with a camera over my house just because I ordered something. Because I promise you, you won't get that sucker back.
Jasper will have him a chew toy.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just too old fashioned for all that. I don't want no part of none of that. I said I figure about 2 years. I don't know. I'm hoping Jesus has come back and took us all out of here by then. I'm gonna tell you the truth.
I'm gonna kind of back up and go to David. He's talking about that true lumber. If I can get up there, well, I can get up there. I don't know how much of y'all. I know we fixing to wrap it up anyway, so we can get off bees for a second. But in Hannah's grandma's house, man, oh man. For the ones of you that may enjoy this, I'll try to get this on video. I've got a whole bunch of pictures, but Hannah's grandma's house was built but before the war between the states. Well, everything in that roof is a 10 on 12. All right. You got that long rake. I think it's 25 foot from the ridge down to the tail on each side. But every one of them rafters in that old house, they're on 2-foot center. And they're true. They're not 2x6. They're true 2x4. All right. You got just about a 25-foot run on that rafter. There ain't a brace one up there to support that span on that old true lumber. And you can look down through that house. They're, well over 160 something years old. Not a spot in that roof. Is there a sag one?
Nothing. And it's still it still had, you go in the attic and you can still see the original cedar shank shingles on top of that true wood.
Yeah. I'll see if I can find a picture, and some of y'all may be interested in it. I've got a shot of doing some work up in that attic, but you can, like she's saying, you can see them old shingles.
I say that 3 times.
Yeah. In that old place. I just love stuff like that, being in them old homes and seeing the old construction.
I want to ask her, we'll just have to show you, take you on a walkthrough of the old part of the house up there one day. Which I say the old part, the original part. All they added on was just a den area, but
That's off to the side of the house.
Yeah, they didn't impose on the original house. They did do a little bit of updating, like they in the late 50s, early 60s, I think, was the last time they done anything in there, but they just like took out the fireplaces, which was disappointing, and you put in the central unit and stuff, updated the kitchen a little bit, but
all right, yeah, take care, bro.
drones are already taking over crop dusting in the Delta. That's
kind of scary in a way.
Too far, then machine's gonna turn around and bite y'all square in the butt one day. Is what's gonna happen.
Yeah, ain't much on that big technology.
I don't trust it. I don't even have one of them robot machines that vacuums your floor.
All right, Blaine, you take care too, bro. We fixing to wrap it up, y'all. I know it's getting late.
It's Monday morning for everybody in the morning.
Yeah, but we hope y'all enjoy. We'll if y'all do, we'll keep fiddling along with the little bee journals and things of that nature. But
see what happens.
We'll try it again next Sunday.
Y'all have a good work week. Jasper says good night, y'all.
Yeah. All right. God bless y'all. Lord willing, we'll see you on the next one. Y'all take care.
Smooth move, Jasper.